The issue we're trying to deal with right now is, can we make for a higher bar on labor, on
products, and we in fact set a limit on how many of these cards we will issue, is because of the personalized service that we provide.
Problem. The second issue is that even... No, I do not raise this issue to complain or in any way elicit any kind of...
I have a point of view about this issue. In other words, you don't wing it. If you're talking...
What advice can I get? So that's one issue. Another one is that for all the books...
Check-in at Box, we do a lot of fact-checking, but one issue is that people don't listen anymore. Why do you think...
You start by talking about what the issue is, the problem. You then talk about a way of solving it.
The people and most of the land is the West Bank. Gaza I stayed away from. It's a complicated issue. It's a much more difficult...
Because it tends to be an operational issue that is fixed at the time of building things rather than designed at the...
Flavors have been seen as the problem issue. Of course, all...
And it's the kind of issue. So let me just step back.
Opportunities you never knew were possible, and I think when we, God willing, get to heaven
and I started pressing him on the issue of some of his friendships.
Or is that already an issue that you would like to solve independent of this?
Getting married is not an issue that exists. I'm just saying it's the wrong...
Sometimes you have to hold your nose at a small issue in order to...
My mid-50s, not having wanted to address the issue of why I'd left the evangelical world and my...
For this story in the July issue of National Geographic, I worked in 2 locations.
Is there a single issue on your mind as we go into this election?
Supreme Court, and the issue was going to the Supreme Court, and she wanted me.
But the most relevant issue is that science has very little.
Do assisted reproductive technology, a really important issue for older women.
Got a dog who had a human bite issue. He had actually bitten. But on this issue, the scriptural issues are pretty much the same.
It shouldn't be their issue, but they could who are carrying on relative to contemporary civil rights issue, human trafficking.
women everywhere, because it isn't a women's issue, and what we're as a society is.
So the critical issue here is that the content of futures literacy doesn't require us actually to...
So when I work with women and men who care deeply about this issue, I really recommend that they start with a solid business case.
A really big issue, in particular with Indigenous peoples. Hearing from Dominic and Meredith, who I had a chance to work with.
But the issue for me was not really that I was afraid to interact with people.
I would still have asked the question about work-life balance. It's not a single gender issue. Dr. Pressler is among those fighting for...
Another tricky issue in here, which is the rights over the material.
And that's a top-of-mind issue, not only for consumers, but also for ourselves.
Scientists have a huge voice in the media because of this issue. Why do you think, you took the BBC as one example, but there are many
people of color, and until they absolutely solve